So I want to talk about a device I came up with, a few devices that will be something that at home could diagnose a wide range of medical issues and how they would be used and how they would be popularized as just a basic thing as like you have your own laptop or computer or something like that. Well, the first ones are all to do with just a simple camera. And a simple camera setup will be a mirror with a bunch of cameras in front of it, with a bunch of cameras, not the most noticeable, around the whole mirror, and two projectors set behind the mirror between where you would stand or more and the actual mirror or attached to it in some way. These cameras would be there for you to try on, for you to take like selfies or stuff, but they will also be there to take nice full body images, and so on. And then the projectors can project various things on the mirror. Now, what can these things do? Well, by taking a lot of pictures over time, it can learn how you look like. Then it can detect bugs on your body, such as ticks, which transmit a bunch of Lyme disease every year, and a bunch of diseases, and Lyme disease can be a horrible disease. It usually doesn't kill, but it can cause a lot of it can cause post-Lyme disease, which can cause permanent dizziness, headaches, fatigue, and this dizziness can be so bad that people can no longer drive, bike ride, and do everyday activities. And why can't a person detect themselves for bugs? Well, it's hard to see all over your whole body for bugs, besides not being easy to see your whole body for every little bug. There's other problems with that, is that it's time consuming, so people are less likely to do it, and every little time is time lost. People might have issues bending over, people might have eyesight issues, and a wide range of other issues that just get in the way of them doing it. Also, like, especially the backside. A similar thing could be done to detect fungal diseases in the early stages, and most fungal diseases are not that bad, but they can be highly contagious. And beyond being highly contagious, they can be bad in people with immunodeficiencies, especially, but they can also cause itchiness and pain for a lot of people. And it's all worse in disabled people that have a hard time bending over and taking care of themselves or clean themselves, which this thing would help more. Anyways, cancer. So, any unusual moles of movement or change in skin can indicate a serious disease like cancer. But it's really hard to tell it because people usually don't keep track of all the moles of skin, and we don't visit a doctor that often and not intimately knowing our skin. So this is a way around that. There are also, we don't really understand exactly what is the best sign of cancer with how skin changes in appearance, and if we collect more data, maybe this will become a more accurate diagnostic chance for cancer and a wide range of other diseases. Another thing it could help a lot with is skin diseases. Now, most skin diseases are not that bad. However, there's a plenty of exceptions where the skin can become very delicate and it can easily tear and stuff and bleed, causing injuries that can get infected, or that it's not a good barrier so it gets you more sick. It can cause a ton of itchiness, which can, or pain, or sunburn easily, which can really negatively affect people's lives because of just the pain and stuff. It can, a lot of them can be a lot of skin diseases if it's a sign that you're more likely to get cancer, such as sunburns and stuff, and you could detect a little sunburn better this way. But there's more serious ones that all increase your chance of getting cancer a lot more. And the more you know, the more prevent it. And you can also know outbreaks early on to prevent it. There's another thing is that we don't really understand skin diseases very well. So you have all these little things going on with that. You could also, there's the problem with skin diseases from a purely cosmetic standpoint, which I wish people would not bully people and everything over the skin, but it is something that happens fairly frequently. Another one you could do is you could look at the variety of blood flow conditions. Your skin slightly changes color, and a normal person can't notice it with your heart rate pumping blood. And it's more noticeable in some parts of the body than other parts of the body. Almost like your fingers, your earlobes, stuff with a lot of blood vessels close to it. But this could detect blood flow changes, and that could help see if there's any part of your body that has a blood flow problem, such as maybe it's a beginning of a clog or bad circulation issue, or the reverse has a lot of blood vessels going, which is actually a sign of cancer or malignant tumor growth. More, it can see that other health problems with blood flow, maybe you're not drinking enough, maybe something else is going on, stuff like that. You can also measure a little bit of the oxygen in the blood, not very accurately, but a little bit with this method. Now, if you install lights into these mirrors, you can actually make everything I've been talking about much more accurate. You can detect a few nutrient deficiencies. You can detect not having enough vitamin D to a little extent, some vitamin B, some of the B vitamins. You can detect not having enough water a little bit, and a couple other ones. Not the biggest, but it's just something to promote. It's a little bit higher on the list of why this might be useful or might not be useful. Another thing you could do is if you installed an infrared camera, which right now is a lot more expensive than a normal camera by a lot, like orders of magnitude, but it is getting a lot cheaper. You'll be able to detect fevers in the early stages, which is a sign of a bunch of sicknesses. Cancer has a higher metabolic rate, it burns up more energy, so you start more early detecting cancers in the body. Metabolic problems, which either cause your body to be too cold or too hot. Growth of tissue in your body, which could be a sign of good and bad stuff. And in general inflammation, always a sign of a bunch of diseases, and would be something that could be further checked up on. In fact, some of these people are starting to promote mammograms that are just based on infrared light instead of having x-rays, which are less invasive, not bad for you, and they can detect it maybe earlier on in some cases later on. So it's not an exclusion, but it could be a backup test, and it could also improve the accuracy of like mammograms and stuff by saying that if you can look at how they're correlated to catch more of them, but also eliminate more false positive. And false positives can be very, very bad because they can cause people not to take the test seriously. They can cause a lot of distress in people. It can cause a huge financial burden, and in most extreme cases, bad medical procedures that have harmful impacts. So, beyond all this, what we could do is also use it to project different types of clothes onto people, or body types and stuff like that. And this is why I promote it, and what these different types of body ones would help people try out clothes without returning it because they know how it looks like on them. It could let people learn how to express themselves and be happy with how they look more, or make a statement more with how they dress. Beyond all this projection stuff and talking about clothes, they could try out new body types if they feel uncomfortable in their body for whatever reason. They could try out new hair types with all the projections and go back and forth. They could, and so much, and it could save them money because they don't have to buy stuff, save them time returning stuff. With people that execute the function of money mismanagement, huge deal. Sensory issues maybe with clothes. So on. Body dysmorphia, maybe it can be a step in transitioning so people can feel a little more happy just for a little bit. All these things to try out. And we could even further all these things if we have certain light setups in the device that could magnify or contrast, so we can get rid of the error of natural lighting, or try different types of lighting that are more controlled in various methods, so we can better see bugs, fungus, cancer, skin diseases, blood flow, fuel nutrient deficiency, and all this growth stuff. Yeah, if we know how to, then to make it even better, we can install infrared cameras with, we could have ones, with projectors that also could narrow down, help you look at how different clothes look in different conditions and different lighting conditions too. Maybe also just for funny sketches online for content creation or something like that for being an artist. Well, beyond that, I want to talk about what small cameras could do. So small cameras on your phone or something with devices could slowly detect eye diseases or problems with your eye. Now the usual problem with that is that they have to shine a bright light and you're blinking a lot. Huge problem right there. Well, why can a small camera overcome this? Well, if you're taking many pictures over a long period of time, like every day or something, not only can you see progression of diseases, which can oftentimes be more indicative of actual disease, you start seeing the pressure build up or something, and do prevention, but beyond all that is that you can use algorithms, and they'll have to be fancy developed to get rid of the blink spike from many pictures, to get rid of the errors and stuff like that, to make one higher resolution picture. Another thing you could look is, if you're willing to put in your mouth, tooth decay with a small camera, or dental problems. And you can also look at throat diseases, like when people put it down in your mouth. And remember, it doesn't have to be as accurate if you take many pictures. Now there's a problem is that all this from a programming standpoint is not the hardest, or from a tech standpoint, but you need a ton of data to train these models and neural networks to do all this stuff. And beyond needing a ton of data, and I really do mean a ton of data and training and work on this, is that you have to make sure it works for a variety of skin types, which is also going to be very, very hard to do. And there's actually a huge problem with misdiagnosis of many skin diseases, especially in African Americans, because the textbook trains people mostly on white people, and most of the studies have been done on white people. So that we'll have to really work on making it fair for them. Now, also using a broader spectrum of light would also make it fair for more different skin types, and infrared light too. Yeah. Then, for another thing we can add is we can use the phone or other devices that have a microphone in them, and we can start to detect early on breathing problems and figure out what they better are. Besides breathing problems, we might be able to detect early on heart problems if you hold it near your heart, like heart murmurs. Maybe, and also holding it near there, not only can you detect the heart problems, you might be able to detect specific lung problems more easily. And you could also potentially detect digestive issues to some extent because of gassiness or stomach rumbling stuff, but I'm not so certain about how good that I just threw that out there. Well, with all this technology, one of the biggest advantages is that the constant monitoring can really give you more of a warning. We can collect more data and make everything better. We can see the progressions better of different things. But also, if people just did this more in everyday life, it was easy, it'll be a lot less expensive than going to a doctor or nurse. It'll be a lot easier to schedule, a lot less paperwork, and a lot less stressful, which will help many people that have unequal access, but also people with stress and anxiety issues, people with executive dysfunction issues, that have trouble organizing stuff, people that don't have trouble taking time off their jobs, and so much more. So it really helps a large segment of the most disadvantaged of the population that's also more likely to have these problems in the first place. Well, thank you very much for listening. Please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in a year and 4,000 watch hours, which is really, really hard, but I think with your help, I can do it. And the reason why I'm trying to do that is so I can create more content, and a little bit so I can support myself with all my issues with disabilities and stuff. And also, beyond that, that's when my channel itself starts getting more promoted by the YouTube algorithm, so more people can get my content, which may or may not help them or inspire other people. If you have any ideas for future videos, comments, or suggestions, please leave in the comment section below. Also, if you know my DM, feel free to DM me. Thank you very much again. Goodbye.